There is a number, not a big number, not a number anyone would brag about at a dinner party, but it is the exact number at which the machine stopped pretending it was on your side. You were 17, maybe 18, old enough to have a job, not old enough to understand what was being taken out before the check even got to you. Federal tax, state tax, FICA, Social Security you'd never see, lines you didn't ask for on a check you'd already spent in your head. Nobody explained it. Nobody sat you down. You just learned, the way working-class kids always learn, by looking at the number and feeling the gap. That was your first lesson. Not from a guru, not from a podcast, from a pay stub in a paper envelope on a Thursday afternoon. Gen X grew up between two stories. The boomer story, work hard, get the house, retire comfortable, and the story that was just starting to crack. The crack was already there. You just weren't old enough to name it. The early 90s recession hits. You are 22, maybe 23, with a degree that cost more than your parents' first car, and no one is hiring. Not a rough patch, not a correction, a full collapse of the entry-level job market right at the moment you were supposed to enter it. You did what you had to do. You took the job that had nothing to do with your degree. You smiled and got on with it. But something happened inside that no one talks about. You stopped trusting the plan. Not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly, permanently, you stopped. That distrust, quiet, private, never announced, is the thing nobody else understood later. It looked like cynicism from the outside. From the inside, it was just math. You started watching what things actually cost. Not the sticker price, the real cost. The cost in time, the cost in years, the cost in what you gave up to have it. A new car. $24,000. Fine. But what is $24,000 in hours? At $11 an hour, that is 2,181 hours. More than a year of your life. Nobody taught you to think that way. You taught yourself because the plan had already failed you once, and you weren't going to let it fail you twice. Here is what Gen X figured out that the generations on either side of them are still arguing about. You cannot trust an institution with your retirement. You have to trust a system you built yourself. Boomers inherited defined benefit pensions. The company kept the promise. The number was guaranteed. You showed up, you got the thing. Gen X got the 401k, the defined contribution plan, which sounds like a benefit until you read the fine print. The risk transferred from the company to you. They told you it was freedom. You could choose your own funds, pick your own allocation, be your own money manager. They just forgot to mention you had no idea how to do that. Most people picked the default, the safe-sounding one, the one nobody had explained, and the fees quietly ate a piece of every dollar, every month for 30 years. You learned about fees the hard way. Everyone in Gen X learned about fees the hard way, and once you saw it, you could not unsee it. The no-flex default. This is the thing that looks like frugality from the outside, but is something much older and quieter from the inside. It is the default of someone who watched a plan collapse once. You drive the used car not because you cannot afford the new one. You drive it because you know what a new car costs in actual years of your actual life. You wear the plain clothes not because you have no taste, but because you figured out somewhere in your 30s that clothing is not armor, money is armor. The display of wealth is the consumption of it. Every dollar you spend performing richness is a dollar that is not compounding. Gen X understood this not as a philosophy, as a wound. Millennials got the opposite lesson first. They were handed a story about hustle and brand and the personal economy of the visible self. Build your brand. Document the journey. The engagement will come. The income will follow. Meanwhile, the rent went up 40% and the interest rate went up 7 times. Gen Z got the algorithm, the side hustle, the dropshipping tutorial, the I made $10,000 in my first month thumbnail, and the highest debt load of any generation entering adulthood. Gen X got the recession, and then another, and then a third. 3 full economic collapses inside 40 working years. Each one taught the same lesson in a slightly different dialect. The system is not your friend. The system is a machine. And machines do not care about you. That doesn't make you angry. Not anymore. It makes you tactical. Let me show you how the machine actually moves money. Because this is the thing Gen X figured out sitting in those recessions, and it is the thing the gurus never explain clearly. Inflation is not a news story. It is a tax you never voted for. Every year the dollar in your pocket buys slightly less. Not because you did anything wrong, because the system needs it to. The Federal Reserve targets 2% inflation. 2% sounds harmless. 2% for 30 years is a 45% reduction in purchasing power. Almost half your money, gone. Without a heist, without a crash, just time. Cash under the mattress is not safe money. Cash under the mattress is dying money. It is losing a race it does not even know it is in. Banks understand this, deeply, structurally, which is why a savings account at a major bank paid you 0.01% interest while inflation ran at 8%. The bank borrows your money at 0.01. It lends it out at 8, 12, 22% on credit cards. The spread, that is the word. That is the whole business. You are the raw material. Your savings are the inventory, the bank is the manufacturer, and the customer is the borrower who wants what you had. Gen X understood this viscerally by 2002, after the dot-com bubble, after watching 40% of a 401k evaporate in 18 months. That is not a metaphor. That is real money. Money you contributed every paycheck. Money that vanished not because of anything you did, but because the machine had a seizure. And then you rebuilt. Quietly. Without a hashtag. You picked index funds not because a YouTube video told you to. Because after losing money in actively managed funds with their 1.2% expense ratios, you did the math yourself, and it was not complicated. Low fee, diversified, leave it alone. The lesson of 2 recessions written in 4 words. A quiet portfolio, not glamorous, not on a trading app with a dopamine loop and a confetti animation, just a brokerage account you checked twice a year. While Robinhood users day traded meme stocks in 2021, the Gen X quiet portfolio just sat there. Boring, growing, compounding without fanfare. Boredom is a strategy. The most effective wealth-building tool that was ever invented is the one that requires you to do almost nothing. $10,000 invested at 25 in a low-fee index fund becomes, at historical average returns, roughly $80,000 by 65, without touching it, without timing the market, without a trading thesis. The number is not magic. The number is math. The math is not complicated. The complicated part is doing nothing for 40 years in a world that is constantly telling you to do something. Now let me show you the thing the boomers had that Gen X did not. Because to understand the money psychology of one generation, you have to understand the material conditions they were handed. Boomers entered the workforce in the longest peacetime economic expansion in American history. GDP growing, real wages growing, home prices low relative to income. In 1970, the median home cost about 2.5 times the median annual income. Today, it is roughly 6 times. In coastal cities, 12 to 15 times. That is not a market fluctuation. That is a structural shift in who the housing market is designed to serve. Gen X bought houses anyway, later than their parents, with more debt, with both incomes working, without the same safety net. And then 2008 happened. The mortgage crisis. The thing that was supposed to be the safe asset, the thing your parents told you was always a good investment, fell 30, 40, 50% in some markets. You watched neighbors lose houses, not because they were reckless, because the instrument they were sold was designed to look safe while hiding risk in a layer they could not see. Collateralized debt obligations, mortgage-backed securities, tranches rated AAA that were secretly built from subprime loans. The language was designed to confuse. The complexity was the point. The lesson Gen X took from 2008 was not never buy a house. It was understand what you are actually buying, not the name of the product, the structure of it. Read the thing. All of it. Not because you are a lawyer, because you are the one who will live with the consequence. Tell no one. This is the piece that the quieter wealthy people understand, and the louder ones never will. The moment you announce the investment, the timeline, the strategy, you have introduced social pressure into a process that only works without it. Because then your brother-in-law wants in. Because then the timeline becomes a conversation topic. Because then selling at the wrong moment becomes easier than explaining why you did not. The silence is not arrogance. The silence is the investment. Every time you do not talk about the account, you are protecting the account. Gen X came from working class or lower middle class homes in many cases. Not all, but enough. And in those homes, money was never talked about either, except when there was not enough of it. Nobody talked about investing. Nobody talked about allocation. Nobody talked about expense ratios or compound interest. You had to figure it out when you were already in it. That is the invisible ceiling, not a glass ceiling of gender or race, though those exist too, but the information ceiling, the one built from what your family never knew to tell you. Rich kids in 1995 had parents who explained the stock market at the dinner table. You had parents who explained what overtime felt like. Both valuable, only one of them compounds. The thing that separates the first-generation wealth builder from everyone else is not intelligence, not effort, it is the timeline. They start later because they learn later. The compound curve punishes late starts disproportionately. That is the cruelty inside the just invest early advice. It assumes everyone had the same starting line. They did not. Some of us were learning rules while others were playing the game. But here is the thing Gen X proved. You can close the gap, not by hustling louder, by being quieter and more patient than the people who started ahead of you. They spent their late start. You invested yours. 10 years later, the difference is not in the story you tell, it is in the statement you check. Debt. Let us talk about the thing that keeps every working-class origin story stuck at the starting line. Consumer debt is the system's most elegant trap because it is consensual. You signed up. You said yes to the 0% introductory rate. You agreed to every term. The average American carries $4,400 in credit card debt at 22% interest. That is $968 a year, almost $1,000, flowing from your pocket into a bank's quarterly earnings. Every year, without exception, without drama. Just quietly, automatically, $1,000 moving from you to them while you sleep. Gen X paid off debt with a particular fury. Not because they were disciplined in the motivational poster sense, because they had seen what compound interest does when it works against you, and they were not going to live inside that math a day longer than they had to. There is a version of freedom that has nothing to do with a lifestyle influencer's morning routine. It is the freedom of owing nothing, of waking up and knowing that nothing is coming for your paycheck before you see it. That feeling, that is the one they cannot sell you. It only comes from the thing itself. Now the generational comparison gets interesting, because it is not a competition, it is a map, and every generation's money behavior is a direct output of the economic weather they grew up in. Silent generation, depression babies, their money behavior, hoard cash, own nothing on credit, trust no one, especially not banks. They lived through the bank runs. They watched neighbors lose everything in an afternoon. Boomers, post-war abundance. Their money behavior, buy the house, hold the job, trust the institution, pension and out. The system kept its promise to most of them, so they never had a reason to distrust it. Gen X, 3 recessions, trust no institution, build the thing yourself, stay quiet about it. The system lied to us early enough that we could still adjust. Millennials, student loan debt at record levels, housing unaffordable, gig economy as the only economy, their money behavior, optimistic about side income, skeptical of the market, exhausted by the gap between the story and the reality. Gen Z grew up watching the 2008 crash as children, watched their parents lose houses, entered the workforce during a pandemic. Their money behavior, distrust institutions, crypto-native, survivalist spending, financially nihilistic at times. Every generation is rational. They are just rational about different weather. The failure is assuming your weather is the universal condition. The thing Gen X knows that is genuinely transferable across all that weather is this. The system will not save you. It was not built to. Build the thing inside the system that moves independently of it. What does that look like practically? An index fund that keeps running whether the news is good or bad. A paid-off car when rates go to 7%. An emergency fund that means the next crisis is an inconvenience instead of a catastrophe. Not sexy, not a YouTube thumbnail, not a story you tell at the party, but when the next recession comes, and it will come, it always comes, you will not be in the unemployment line wondering what happened. The repeating pattern. Because this is not Gen X's story specifically, this is the pattern that every generation of working-class origin wealth builders has lived through since industrial capitalism began. Expansion, overextension, correction, crisis, recovery, expansion again. The cycle that runs whether you are watching it or not. The people who get quietly wealthy inside this cycle are never the loudest voices. They are never the ones with the newsletter and the 3-comma prediction. They are the ones who kept buying the unglamorous thing every month, regardless of the noise. Dollar cost averaging. Buy a fixed amount every month, regardless of price. When the market is high, you buy less. When the market is low, you buy more. The average evens out. The years do the rest. A strategy so simple, a 17-year-old can understand it. Which is exactly why it is not on the front page, and exactly why the people running the front page prefer you buy the more complex product instead. Here is what quiet wealth looks like at 50. It looks like nothing from the outside. Same car for 10 years, same neighborhood. Clothes you've had since the Obama administration. But the brokerage account, the paid-off mortgage, the 6-month emergency fund, the Roth IRA running since 1998. These are not visible from the outside. That is the entire point. The loud money is spending the thing. The quiet money is the thing. And the distance between those two statements is the distance between looking wealthy and being it. What they still do not know. The thing the loudest voices in every generation miss. You do not build wealth at the income level. You build it at the gap. The gap is everything. A $50,000 income with a $40,000 lifestyle builds wealth. A $200,000 income with a $200,000 lifestyle builds nothing but performance. Gen X learned the gap by having it almost close on them. Not by philosophy. By a Tuesday in 1992 when the gas tank was empty and payday was Thursday and you did the math in your head and it did not come out. That is not a metaphor. That happened to a generation, quietly, without a documentary, and what it built in the people who went through it was a floor. A number below which they would never allow themselves to fall again. You can build that floor too. Not because a guru told you to, because you understand now what the system is, what the machine does, and what the quiet people in every generation figured out while the loud ones were still waiting for someone to explain it to them. Nobody is going to explain it. That is why you are here. If this landed for you, the machine mechanics, the quiet floor, the gap, stay on the channel. The next video goes deeper, not louder, deeper. See you there.